Hello, welcome back to another episode of cEDH Bling Builds. With the release of Bro, there's really nothing interesting going on with competitive EDH. No new commanders, nothing crazy going on. So in stagnant times like this, I like to revisit some of my favorite generals. And so as we come close to the end of 2022, I like to pay respect to my boy, my main, Zur the Enchanter, post-Bro 2022. Now, Zur is like this weird boogeyman of the format. It says primarily because of his ability to just cheat in like enchantments, and these low-cost enchantments are usually pretty brutal. Whether they're like bad auras because Voltron strategies are a little outdated, in my opinion, or just really crazy stacks pieces. But the problem with all of that is even in casual pods, like most people are holding up instant speed interaction. Maybe before Zur was this boogeyman because the game was a lot slower than it is now. Because I don't think you see too many Zur lists. Maybe they'll top, but they're not like winning anything. Also, Zur's like one of these legends that, before an era of like partners, your legendaries didn't really do anything game breaking the way Zur did, 6, 7, 8 years ago. And so he has a bit of a reputation, but I don't think he's as strong as people remember him being, especially in this quick, fast format that exists now. But with the release of Bro, Zur did get some new toys to play with, for lack of a better word. And so we'll get into that right now. Now, as I mentioned earlier, people build Zur, not my business, but like the wrong way. Like I piloted Zur a million different ways for many, many years. And I find the most optimal way to build Zur is just to get out Necropotence as soon as possible. When you waste your time, like getting auras, or I don't know, getting even getting like a rest in peace to do a Helm of Awake. I don't like that. Too slow. Like Zur will cheat in the rest in peace, but you still have to like find and hard cast the Helm of Awakening. So it's not amazing. And in cheating auras to make like a Voltron strategy, you're living like a pipe dream if you think Zur is gonna exist long enough on the board to assemble all those pieces. If the turn keeps coming back to you, and it's turn 8, and you're getting like the final piece to your Voltron armor, like what are you really doing? So that's high fantasy. But what Zur wants to do is really just cheat in Necropotence and draw a shit ton of cards and sculpt a hand and win. It's as simple as that. And so let's get into the current iteration of this deck. We have Zur the Enchanter, but of course, how we do things on this channel. We have both arts, the OG art, the Judge. That's how it rolls, how we roll. Maybe with the Post Malone secret layer, maybe the secret card will be the Post Malone Zur. That'll be pretty cool, right? But we have the bread and butter of the deck, Necropotence. In most decks, Zur or any deck in black The moment that opponent securely lands the Necropotence, the game really should be over. Getting Necropotence for value is a waste of time. It's an option, but you really just want to land an early Necropotence, get a bunch of cards, and win. So that's the name of the game. And so with that said, we're going to do the Shimmermere strategy. I find it to be the best Zur strategy. The huge Necropotence, luck sacking into your Shimmermere, casting the Shimmermere, and then just storming off from there. That's usually the simplest, most linear, easiest route. Now the deck turns into a little bit of a Rubik's Cube at that point, because you might brick, right? Your Necropotence, you might brick. Getting a third of the deck to your hand might not guarantee the win, and so we have to, like a Rubik's Cube, weave our way into victory. But of course, with the recent Brothers' War, we got the new Liberator Urza's Battlethopter, which is pretty much the same CMC. This is the same thing, just casting color spells and artifact spells as though they had flash. Now, on the Reddit forums and wherever this was spoiled, people talked about it as just like, oh, Zur got a new toy. And that's not necessarily true. Zur always had the redundancy with a card like Wrath, Ship's Mage. Always existed. I ran it, before Battlethopter, clearly. A little bit clunkier because of the colored pips, but it did act as a secondary Shimmermere for the most part. And with the ability to cast Historics with Flash, it did, I don't have space for it anymore, it did one thing that these guys don't, and we'll talk about that in a second. Also, there was a land that a lot of lists used. I don't like it, Emergence Zone, where you pay 1, sack it, and then you may cast spells this turn as though they had Flash. The problem with this is that I really, really, really would rather have access to colored mana, and there's no way to cheat this in at instant speed on a Necropotence turn. You kind of have to have it before when the Zur special summons cheats in the Necropotence. So I'm not a huge fan of Emergence Zone. Other combos we have in the deck are the Icecorn Scepter Dramatic Reversal. I'm not abusing like a Broken X spell in this deck. It's mostly in here because I'll incidentally find it on a Necropotence turn. And landing it just guarantees me like infinite colored mana, just so I can keep going deeper into my turn. But we do have the Sensei's Top to draw the deck once we find this combo. Once I draw the deck, I'm guaranteed to find my win conditions and win. Easy peasy. Also, if you land an early top, you can manipulate your top deck for instances of not finding your Shimmermeres. It's a thing that happens. We do have the Heliod Walking Ballista combo in this deck. The Walking Ballista could be dropped if I have the infinite mana from the Isorev combo. The Heliod could be cheated into play with Zur, but then you have to pay for this combo to work. There's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a white. Not the best, but it is another option in our back pocket. Heliod was the other, was the card I was talking about, where Wrath could cheat this combo into play. in the instance where this is my Shimmermere. But there's one other card that we'll discover soon enough that achieves the same thing. So again, if for whatever reason I can't land an early Zur, because you want to pay like 30 life for Necropotence. If it's under 30, don't even bother. You got to go for Plan B strategy at that point. Or a lot of times I find myself casting Zur, and before the turn comes back to me, he dies, right? Because I just had barely enough mana to cast him, so I don't have blue open to protect him, which happens. Of course, we're in the colors. We have to have our Thorkel console package. I'm so edgy, I'm so unique, I blacked out my consult. And then a Tainted Pact in the back pocket. In this deck, a Tainted Pact gets a lot more utility, getting the other half of my combo during those Necropotence turns where I didn't get the right parts. Sometimes as you're flipping cards over, you're gonna say goodbye to like a lot of Plan B, Plan C wins, but it's YOLO, baby, right? And that's just the name of the game. It's gonna be like that. You're trying to close out the game, not continue the match any longer. You could do the same thing with the demonic consultation, but that's very, very scary. I have this in the wrong order. Yeah. And then, of course, we have a Praetor's Grasp in this deck as like a backup plan. If I lose my Thorkel for whatever reason, I have to switch my strategy to like a grindier mid game. Then at some point I could find someone else's Thorkel, cast it. I don't really, I can't abuse someone else's Underworld Breach. This deck is not built to be a breach deck. Because we are a turbo deck, we have the Adnos and the PETA. I know I'm trying to land a turn 2 Necropotence. Sometimes that's just not it's not in your future. So we just switch back to like just a turbo strategy. I have the black rituals, so I can do it, no problem. Now, Adnos in late 2022 isn't the powerhouse it used to be. It has a lot of things to climb over nowadays. People have a lot more interaction. Simple Flusterstorm could just shut the shit down, and that happens a lot. But it's in the deck. I don't find myself using it that often, but it is what it is. PETA, however, is still really, really strong. I do find myself casting it sometimes. There is the option to cast this and get a lot of value off of it on my Necropotence turn. We'll see, find out soon enough. Some really important cards in this deck are the Scout's Warning. If you didn't already know, for a white at instant speed, the next creature card you play, it just gains flash, and then you draw a card. There are many, many times where on Necropotence, get my 30 cards, plus my existing hand, and just because of the lands I have, the rocks that I have, and the rituals in my hand, I could simply just like Thorkel Consult with the help of this at my end step. Really, really juicy. You have to have this in the deck. And the most important card, believe it or not, more important than Necropotence, more important than Shimmermere, right? The Ancient Excavation But when you whiff your Necropotence, right? Well, what do you do then? You can't really just pass the turn back to your opponent. Everyone's going to swarm you and just knock you out the game at turn 2, turn 3. Right? So Excavation is a phenomenal card. It's a blue instant. And, you have 34 cards in your hand. You're going to draw 34 cards and pitch 34 cards. Don't forget that gets exiled because of Necropotence. But you're definitely going to find the rest of what you need at that point. And so Ancient Excavation is an amazing card. Moving along to our removal package, we really don't want to see an opposition agent on the field. That is really bad. And so we have a handful of cards to help remove things like the opposition agent or just general stacks pieces. And so we have Chain of Vapor, Alchemist Retrieval, Vanishing Verse, Cyclonic Rift, before I continue, I just want to give a shout out to another bro card, Soul Partition, just as a generic spot removal. But in this regard, I like the Alchemist Retrieval because I have the option to bounce back my Zur. It's stupid, but it's a thing that might be important. But I'll, as I play this deck over the weekend, I'll keep an eye out for when Soul Partition would have been the better card. Now, let's get into our soft counters and counters package, and I'll start that off with a Slip Out the Back. A Slip Out the Back, a very versatile card. You could get rid of the Rule of Law creature or the opposition agent, or it could just protect my Zur. It really depends on the situation, but a phenomenal card in a deck like this where you gotta land your commander and you gotta pray to the gods that the turn comes back to you. And March of Swirling Mists, a phenomenal card. Again, I could either remove all the hate bears on the field, or protect my Zur. And of course, he'll phase back in. He won't have summoning sickness, and easy peasy. We have Silence, funny card, right? We all know how strong Silence is. Probably the best counter of them all. I joke with my friend that Silence is so strong that the sweatiest of sweaty pods would probably just concede to just a successfully cast Silence. Cast Silence with no follow-up for game. GG's. Then our hard counters, we have Mental Misstep. We go really hard on the amount of hard counters in this deck. We want to play a fast game and cheap interaction to ensure that we secure victory if it all lines up. We have a Mental Misstep, Dispel, Miscast. I like it in this deck. Ideally, like I said, I'm going fast, way faster than my opponents. It's Glass Cannon, turn 2, turn 3, 0, aggressive mulligans. And so they're not going to be able to pay. No way. An Offer, Swan Song, Flusterstorm. Delay. Delay is a great card, especially because of the generic mana cost, as opposed to a mana drain. Maybe if I was playing Tim and Malcolm, a slower, not that deck is slow by any stretch of the imagination, but just a deck that didn't want, that wasn't so mana hungry and wasn't trying to win turn 2, turn 3, then I would put the mana drain in. I'd probably have both of them. But just No double blue in this deck. It's hard. Fierce Guardianship, Force of Negation, just to help protect, you know, the Zur before the turn gets back to me. Pact of Negation and a Force of Will. Our ritual package, we have a Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual, Reign of Filth, Culling the Weak, Sacrifice. No, this is not beta Sacrifice. This is like a revised or a limited, whatever the white border is with a Sharpie. And my custom art. Look at my custom. I did that. I'm so talented. I drew a line of blood. Most of the time, we're going to be. There's like virtually 0 creatures in this deck outside of my combo, but most of the time we're gonna be sacrificing the Zur after he swings and gets to Necropotence. At that point, he's of no use to us outside of like a Fierce Guardianship. Our tutors package, we have Enlightened Tutor, Mystical Tutor, and a Vampiric Tutor. We have a really, really amazing card. I don't know why not everyone is on this, but we have a Limdol's Vault. We have a Merchant Scroll. There are a lot of blue instants that are of importance in this deck, especially like Ancient Excavation, or the March of Swirling Mist. Very, very important, because I need to be able to go off, or I need to be able to dig deeper after Necropotence. So this is like one of these main phase 2 after my battle phase and specialed the Necropotence type of cards. This and fetch lands, right? Hold up your fetch land for main phase 2 so that you can look through the deck to see what will not be in your hand at the end of your turn, and this way you could start making plays to get those pieces before you even add the Necropotence hand, or you could just use these top, add to the top of the deck tutors to pay just one more, just pay one more life in Necropotence, and then you're guaranteed to get it. Demonic Tutor, Imperial Seal, Scheming Symmetry, like the worst tutor, but the game's going to end at that point, so I don't really care what my opponent adds to their hand, but just for the one black CMC, and not adds to their hand, but puts to the top of their library. But for the one single black CMC, it's really, really strong. Like I said, after I pay my 30 life, I could look through the deck to see what I missed, and just add that piece and pay one more life. Our draw package, super simple. The days of cantrips are over, but we need to have our instant speed draws, especially when we're just trying to, barely manipulate the top deck. Because, like I said, there are times you could whiff, and you're desperately trying to get the one or two pieces that you need. So we have a Brainstorm, and this weird thing, Quicken, at its worst is just a draw spell, but at its best, it lets us play the next sorcery at instant speed. That could be like a wheel. Right? I can do Time Twister loops now with a card like this on my turn. Make an army of swan songs, swan tokens. Or most of the time, I'm going to use a combination of different cards, but probably like the sorcery speed tutors. And then a single Time Twister, not even a windfall, just a one Time Twister. Wrapping up the rest of the deck, let's have a look at some of the other enchantments that my Zur likes to cheat into play. Not really. There's just two cards. But let's look at the other enchantments. We have a generic Rhystic Study and a Mystic Remore. Zer's not cheating them into play. You're just going to cast them. If you're going to like a second, slower, grindier strategy. But we do have Grasp of Fate, which is a very, very good card. I hope it's not overlooked in Zer lists, but it's an Oblivion Ring for each opponent, and that's really important, especially when you have so many people on, these commanders that can outpace you, or some sort of value engine or stacks piece. You just really got to get rid of it. This deck can't go off if there's a rule of law on board. But we're in a type of metagame where there'll be like 3 rule of laws on board. Our rocks, the heart of the deck. You have a Talisman of Progress, Talisman of Dominance, Arcane Signet, Fellwar Stone. Remember I used to cry about, I used to tell you guys how I'm going to cry when this gets reprinted as a foil. Now we have 2 foils, right? We have a secret layer, 2 secret layers or something for this. Lotus Petal, Jeweled Lotus, Chromox, Mox Opal, Mox Diamond, and more importantly, Mox Amber. Mox Amber is a phenomenal card, especially now that we have the Battlethopter. Battlethopter is a legendary, and so even though most of the time we're gonna sacrifice like a Zur, he won't be around. We'll still have the Battlethopter to help us get Mox Amber of value. Mana Vault, Grim Monolith, Soul Ring, Mana Crypt. Now for utility, we have Wishclaw Talisman. Now don't forget, I know in our brains we think that Wishclaw says like sorcery speed, but it doesn't. It just says activate this ability only during your turn. So under a Shimmermere turn, a Wishclaw turns into a 1, 2, and a black instant speed tutor, which is very, very important. I was playing around with a Springleaf Drum. We know it's not going to get value on the Shimmermere turn from Zur, because Zur is already tapped, but the Shimmermere could be tapped. But I put all that aside. This is supposed to be a defense grid. I don't have a defense grid. I sold it years ago, but I'm going to give it a second chance. So this should be a defense grid. I can't waste my time in this deck with like a Grand Abolisher or Ranger Captain of Eos. It's just not as easy to cast. I'm very, very starved for mana the turn that I'm going to go off, and so it's really a stretch for me to pay the white for those cards, and so I'm just hoping that Defense Grid does the trick. And then to make things a little bit cheaper, we have a Helm of Awakening and Supply Llama. These go in the deck because they're cheaply costed and they're artifacts. So Supply Llama, sorry. Ethereum Sculptor. Wrapping things up with the lands, we have, of course, all 9 fetches. We have 1 island, 1 swamp. We have all 3 shocks. We have all 3 duels. We have the other duels. We have an Ancient Tomb and an Atawada. I don't know how much value I'm going to get with an Atawada. Even with the Zur and the Shimmer, the Battlethopter, the channel is I don't know, not amazing for me in this deck. I'll pay attention to that. I really wanted to tech a Cavern of Souls, just so I can call human and land a Zur, because after that, um, the colored mana doesn't really mean anything. So, but I don't own a Cavern of Souls, so, but I definitely want to try it out. In our other Rainbow lands, we have a Gemstone Cavern, Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, Forbidden Orchard, Mana Confluence, a Gemstone Mine, and a City of Brass. And there you have it. There you have my boy, Zur the Enchanter, in 2022, post Malone, post Bro. The sleeves. Don't even bother with these. You're not going to find these Acerola Mimikyu sleeves. So good luck. But we have the Manamu outers, because you asked about these things. And then we have like this hollow card stock that you could buy at like a hobby shop, and you just cut it out so you have a back for your card. Anyway, thank you so much, and ta-ta.